All right, everybody, it's your boy Ted Jr. right here on Life on Wax with Ted Jr. I've got my special guest today on the show, my brother, the brother whose name I share, my man Tossin Ted Thornton. Everybody say what's up to Tossin.
What's happening, y'all? How y'all doing?
So, man, I want to just say it's an honor and pleasure to have you on the show, man.
I appreciate that, bro. Real talk.
A lot of us that grew up here in St. Louis, we know your voice 100% because you were the voice that led us to a lot of our music that we listened to during the heyday.
Oh yeah. Back in the good old days.
The good old. We'll talk about the good old a little bit.
Yes, sir.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Everybody today that watches the show, you know that we always have a guest on the show. And that guest is somebody I consider a local legend.
I appreciate it.
And that local legend is not just a title; it's a challenge. Mm-hmm. So it's also a challenge to be legendary in all that you do and leave a legacy that we can all like look forward to and follow. So you are Ted, one of those people, and I'm glad to have you on the show.
I appreciate you, bro, and I appreciate you having me on.
So for everybody that's watching and listening, if you listen all the time, you know that every guest brings us 5 songs. That's right, 5 songs that speak to their core. These are 5 songs that maybe are their favorite songs, songs that motivate them, songs that inspire them. It's kind of whatever it means. And we go through those songs.
Yeah.
And we kind of get to know that person a bit more. So Tossin Ted, you gave us a pretty good range of music. And I'll say, one, I expected as much.
Okay.
So you didn't disappoint on that end. But then 2, you know, I was pretty impressed.
Okay.
At the at the music that was chosen. I'm really interested in finding out exactly what this stuff meant to you.
Okay.
What was your process like for coming up with these 5 songs? How was that for you?
Well, the 5 songs that I came up with, man, really were times in my life that kind of these songs kind of led me through different things. Mm-hmm. You know, like number 1, I don't want to bust it out.
Yeah, don't bust it out. Just
don't bust it out.
Like your process.
You know, it's reasons for all 5 of the songs. I have stories and all that good stuff, man. It meant a whole lot to me. So we'll get to it once we get to the song.
Well, without any further ado, let's jump right in, man. The first song on your playlist is one of those songs, man. Sir Mix-a-Lot, Baby Got Back.
Yeah.
Man, that took me all the way back. Seeing that, I said, "Oh man, okay, I can't wait for this," because I love that song. But then the song I loved after that, My Pussy's on Broadway.
Yeah, Pussy's on Broadway, absolutely. Man, the reason I picked Baby Got Back, man, because it came out like 88, 89. And that was the very first song. First off, I know all the people probably thinking, "Oh, this dude probably on one. He on some freaky stuff. He wanna say, well, you talking about the women, about the butts." But it wasn't even all about that. It's actually, man, he was the first guy I met in the industry, and I helped him get his record out, up and running here in St. Louis. And so I met him. You know, he's from Seattle, Washington. I met the guy. He was a real good guy, man. You know, he had about 10 different DJs from across the United States come in, and we're the ones that kind of spearheaded his record, getting it radio played. So here in St. Louis. So and the way he did it was, in the way he showed appreciation, he gave us all plaques. And so he was the very first person that I got a plaque from. And I got well over 30 plaques, man. So I have a whole lot of plaques. But he was the very first person that gave me a plaque, man, and showed me some appreciation. So that's why his record, man, was gonna always be like, okay, he's that dude.
That's what's up. Well, let's take a second. Let's listen to some of Baby Got Back. Sir Mix-a-Lot right here on Life on Wax with Ted Jr. My guy Tossin Ted. So he was the first artist that gave you a plaque. So and you're one of the one. Well, you're the one that kind of helped him get that play in Missouri, in St. Louis.
Yeah, absolutely. So he recognized that, man. He gave me a call and he said, "Man, hey, I appreciate you, playing my record." And I thought it was, I ain't really think nothing of it. And so after a while, he sent me a record. He sent me, you know, it was a couple of records and a couple more songs he had coming out and all the good stuff. I packaged to my office. And so I was like, oh, okay, cool. So he then, after that, man, probably a month later, he called me. He said, look, man, I want to fly you out to Seattle, and I want to sit down with you, and I want to have dinner with you. It's going to be you and a couple other guys. I was like, oh, that's what's up. So he sent me a plane ticket, put me in a hotel, took us out to dinner, man, and presented us with plaques.
Wow.
And so I thought that was real cool. That was real cool, man.
So at this point, how long had you been doing radio?
You know what? Actually, I think I started maybe about a year prior. So I had been doing radio. I started probably about 86, 87. And so Magic was actually the biggest station I had ever been on, because I was on Z10. I'm sorry, 100. What was it called? Z100. I'm sorry, it was called Z100. And it was downtown St. Louis. It was a smaller signal, but it was adult contemporary as well. But Magic was the big dog. It was a big station. It was a heritage station. And so when I got on that, man, they gave me an opportunity to do mixes. You know, because you know, I'm actually born and raised in Chicago, and coming from Chicago, I was taught the way we DJ was blending music, mixing music. And so that's how everybody was like, oh, this is pretty cool here in St. Louis, you know, because they wasn't really all into it. It was another one of my partners. His name was Captain G. He was actually a DJ on the air as well. And we were both from Chicago, and we kind of brought the DJ and the blending the music, you know, on, you know, to St. Louis. Because everybody here, you had the Jockensteins and all those good guys, all those pioneers, man, which I tip my hat to all those brothers, man, because they laid down the foundation here in St. Louis. You know, the Randy OJs, the Dr. Jockensteins.
Man, you bringing up some names, man.
Brother, I mean, and those are the guys that got me really into the game. You know, like Jockenstein, actually, I mean, I don't mean to be switching subjects, but Jockenstein is a guy, when I was in SIUE, I graduated from SIUE, and I played the fraternity, which is Alpha Phi Alpha. And when at my my fraternity, the party after I went over, it's called a neophyte. So Jockenstein so happened was up in Edwardsville, and he was there. And so when he was there, he got on the microphone. He asked us, hey, do you mind me getting on the microphone? We was like, oh man, yeah, you know, knock yourself out. And so actually I was at that party, my own neophyte, I was DJing. And so he came over to me and he said, hey man, you're doing a good job on this, man. I never really seen anybody blend this music like this. I was like, oh really? And so he said, I said, man, can I get your number? He said, you know, he said, yeah. And so we touched base, and he said, man, you need to get in the radio. He said, man, you have a decent voice, man, and all the good stuff. So in SIUE, I actually graduated to teach. I was a teacher. I graduated with a teaching, you know, with a teaching degree. And so never took any mass communication classes. And so long story short, man, Jockenstein got me in the door, and I hadn't looked back since, point blank.
So before you and your guy, say Captain G.
Yeah, Captain G.
Before y'all, people were really just like playing music.
Right. They would play a record. They would play a record, and then they get on the microphone and start talking, and they play another record. They weren't blending it. They weren't blending them together.
Man.
And what I did was, because I really loved the way that they were doing. They were talking because it was really, because see, the DJs in Chicago didn't really get on the microphone. And so I saw the need that you need to get on the microphone so you can start getting personal with people out in your crowd. You know, say, hey, what's going on? So and so, so and so. So I got that from Jockenstein and all those guys, man. You know, you got a list of guys, man, that just did, you know, Jim Gates, Lou Father Times, all those guys, man. They would get on the microphone and start talking. And so I really peeped that, and I thought that was cool. And so what I did, I brought my mixing and I started talking on the mic together. And so that kind of opened up doors for me. It was something new. I was a new kid on the block. And so they was like, yeah, this is what's up. And so, and then that's when they created doing mix shows, because they didn't have mix shows. And so, long story short, when I was at Z100, at the time, the program director's name was Andre Spider-Man Fuller, and the general manager, his name is Jim Gates at the time. And so I hung out at the radio station one day, man, because Jockenstein told me to come and talk to the guy. And so I didn't set up a meeting. I just came over there. I said, hey, man, I'm just going to show up. I got there about 8:30 in the morning. You know, so I sat in the, I talked to the receptionist.
You were ready.
Oh, I was ready, bro. I had my cassettes. Back then I had the cassettes, you know, it was a cassette game then. So I had my cassettes ready. And so I sat up, I talked to the receptionist, and the receptionist was like, yeah, is he expecting you? I said, no, he's not. So he said, all right. So she said, okay, I'm going to tell him that you're here. I'm not sure what time he's going to see you. And so, of course, hours went by, man. He stepped out, man, went to lunch, said, oh, yeah, man, I know you're here to see me, but I'm about to go to lunch and I'll be back. I said, oh, yeah, no problem. I'll be here. So he got back, man. I mean, he saw me probably about 3:30, 4 o'clock. So he says, oh, yeah, so come on back to my office, man. I forgot you was here. I said, no problem. So he took me in the back, man. He said, hey, so what you here for? I said, man, I'm here because I want to work for you. I want to do mix show for you. I want to do a thing called mix shows because they were doing it in Chicago. And so he said, what are they? And I kind of explained what they were doing on the weekend. They were playing all the hot club music. They were playing all the hot music that's on the air and so on forth. And so I let him listen to my cassette. He's like, oh, yeah. He said, man, if you're interested, you can start this Friday. I said, absolutely.
Oh, man.
Absolutely, man. So that's when I started doing it, man. That had to been, wow, that had to been probably a little earlier, probably about 86, 87. Yeah, 86, 87. And so after I was there for a while, that station got bought out. And so that's when I went over to Magic 108, which was the heritage station, the big boy.
Man.
So I sat down at the time, the program director, his name was Mike Stratford. Actually, he used to program radio stations in LA, big time guy now. But he gave me an opportunity. And so that's when it blew up. Once I got on Magic.
Man, I love Magic 108.
Yeah, dude.
It's funny though. My mother wouldn't let me listen to it, so I had to sneak and listen to it. It was like gospel only. I was like,
right.
I was like, but.
Yeah.
My sister would play it. I would sneak and listen to that, boy.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Because that's what was up, man.
Yeah. It was the end thing. Everybody was listening to it.
So I want to hear more about kind of what that early time was at Magic. Because I know it kind of ended up progressing into radio being not what it should be. Right. But I know I would imagine during some of those early times it was amazing. It was
all changed, man. We radio has changed so much. So actually, when radio changed, is the reason radio changed is because all these big companies like iHeartMedia, the Radio Ones, and all these big stations, big companies, what they did was they started uniforming their stations.
Yeah.
So what I mean by that, my iHeartMedia radio station could be played here in St. Louis. You can have one in Chicago. You can have one in Miami, all over the United States, because they have
exact same
radio station. And what they'll do, they uniform their music. So all the adult contemporary music radio stations, they're playing the same formats. And so back in the day, everybody had their own sound. Miami had their own sound. They had Booty Shake. They had East Coast. You had the New York stations had East Coast. You had Chicago. They had stepping music. They had house music. They had all these different types of music. You had all these different markets. You had Houston. You had Texas and LA. They had all their own sounds. But once they came together and they started, having these powwows, they started getting one person in charge. They made their job simpler. It was like, okay, so if Chicago playing the Drake record, St. Louis, you need to be playing the same thing. And so that's the demise of radio.
Well, we'll get into that because I really want to talk about that too.
Okay. And
get into your after. I mean, I know you still DJ, but your after radio life, because I know that's dope and impressive too. So, but I do want to get back into your playlist.
Okay.
So the next song I know was one of those songs that was probably hitting pretty hard while you were early on in at Magic, or at least that whole West Coast vibe of music. And it's Easy E.
Yeah.
In my head, I just said 9 rapping stuff, but I said that in my head. But it was hard. So I mean,
he was a genius though. He was a genius, man, but he didn't have the lyrical skills like the average person. Put it like that. We'll leave it like that.
Easy Boys in the Hood.
Yeah.
That a little bit. When we come back, we'll hear a little bit more about why that song's in your playlist.
Okay, got you.
All right, y'all. It's Life on Wax with your boy Ted Jr. My guest Tossin Ted. So that's Boys in the Hood.
Yes, sir.
Easy E. Tell us why we had a song in your playlist.
Man, okay. Eric Wright, man, aka Easy E. Believe it or not, was a good guy. Believe it or not, he was a very good guy. And the reason
I believe.
Oh yeah, and the reason I chose that record, man. Number one, I got a plaque as well from him from the West Coast. You know, I got to shout that out.
Right. Hey, light flex. I feel you.
Yeah, and so what really the reason I like that record and like him as a person is because he showed me a lot of love here in St. Louis because we were playing his music, and at the time I had a record pool. So back then, this was like 90, 91, I had a record pool. I was down in the city, West End in the city, man, and I had a record pool. I had 50 members in my record pool. So I got all the DJs, man, that's in the clubs and doing all the hot parties and all this good stuff. And so I'm getting all these records sent to me. And so Easy E was the very first person that actually came to my office and brought a big buffet of food, sat down with everybody, man, signed autographs, man, hung out, just kicked it. You know, so my record pool, man, it was back then it was the thing to have in different markets. And I think the reason I had it is because I was on the air. I was doing the mix show. And
so let me just tap in here. When you say a record pool, what is that? Okay,
a record pool is when all the major labels send me their record and I distribute it to all my DJs, and the DJs are playing it in the clubs and playing it at the parties and all that stuff. It's a form of promotion.
So you were like the connect.
Right. I was a plug, basically. I was the plug here with the music. And so everybody was sending me all the records, all the Def Jams, all the whatever, man. Whatever. Ruthless Records, what label they were on, man. You name it. They were supplying my record pool with 50 records. And in return, my DJs was paying me monthly to be in my record pool. So I was bank off of
when they get the best music.
Absolutely.
And they get it first or early.
Absolutely. They get it before the stores get it. They getting all the 12-inch versions. They getting all the different versions that you're not going to hear on the radio.
Man, that sound like a lick, right?
Yeah. Oh, it was the lick. Believe me, it was. Oh yeah. And man, I had 50 guys in my record pool, so I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, let's leave it at that because this is being recorded.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, buddy. But yeah, that's the reason, man. I like Boys in the Hood, man. That's one of my records. It was a pivotal time in my life as well.
So talk more about that kind of rise, or I don't know if it was a wave or it was a rise. I know Magic 108 was the top station that I listened to or that I loved when I was in the 90s, really. Right. All the 90s.
Right.
And I know you were there during that time. So what was that like being with 08 and being on the radio?
Oh man, it was it was like you being a superstar. It was because everybody knew who I was. It was an awesome thing, man. And it really just hit me out of nowhere. I mean, because I started doing mix show, and so in return, all these labels are calling me and wanting me to do this, wanting me to do that, fly me here, fly me there, sending me this, sending me that, and it was there. It was whatever you needed. And then being on a heritage station here in St. Louis, the biggest station, I can recall, man, just hanging out with different people like LL Cool J. The list goes on and on, man, just hanging out with people because they need you to expose their records in your market. Mm-hmm. I got people like Lil Jon over my house. I got, folks just hanging out, just like that, man. Man, I'm coming to town. What's up? I'm going to come by the pool. I'm going to come by the record pool, man. We're going to hang out, man. I'm going to bring your boys something to eat and so on and so forth. That's what it was. And Magic, man, before Magic, okay, the story about Magic. Now, Magic was actually the first P1, the biggest P1 station here in St. Louis, adult contemporary. So they had the biggest signal. So you can hear Magic from St. Louis all the way to Springfield, Illinois, all the way damn near to Mizzou, traveling in the car if you really want to put it out there. And so what Magic did, they switched the signal because they bought this company bought Magic 108. And so I think the company was J-Core, if I'm not mistaken. And so when J-Core came in, they brought some more stations. They bought top 40 station, which was Z107. Mm-hmm. And so when they what they did was they took the signal from Magic and gave it to Z107. Mm-hmm. So Z107 can reach the rural area out in the sticks. So core listeners were just the people in the hood and the people out in the nearby counties. And they didn't realize that was one of the demise of Magic. That was one of the demises of Magic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's what happened with Magic, man, with the signal and all that good stuff. But other than that, man, it was a great company, great radio station. You know, I worked with some awesome people. I worked with the Doc Winners, Tony Scotts, Stacey Statics. Man, the list goes on and on.
Yeah.
You know, we all came up in radio together. Eric Michaels, I don't know if you remember him.
Yeah, Magic
Mike Busby, man. I mean, dude.
I'm telling you, man, y'all were celebrities.
Yeah.
Y'all were celebrities for real.
Yeah. And it was a good thing, man. You know, it gave you an opportunity to really give back too, man. And the love that I had for music, that's what really just fueled everything, because I love music. I love all genres of music, man. Coming from Chicago, my passion was house music.
Yeah.
I loved house music, man. I didn't really get into the rap game until I got really here to St. Louis. You know, because back then, you know, you didn't have that many rap records playing in Chicago. You had house music, and it was playing the classics like the Frankie Beverly and Mazes. It was playing the staple singers because they from Chicago. They playing all these different adult contemporary records. They really didn't get into the rap. You know, the rap game came later. In the mid 90s, man, it started with, you know, with the Kevy Kevs and at Magic 108 back in the day, man. He used to have an evening show. Actually, Captain G had an evening show as well on Magic. And that's when that's the only time they played rap music, was in the evening from 6 to 10. And after 10, they had the Quiet Storm.
Yeah.
You know, so they only gave you a little block of hip hop. But now
it's all day.
It's all day, every day. Everybody playing the same thing. Everybody playing the Megan Thee Stallions. Everybody playing the Drakes. Everybody playing, you know, the Lil Babies, the Babies, and all that. You know. So
tell me this. This is a question that I've asked, or I've had for a while. Comparing hip hop rap from that time to what's out now. What do you feel about it?
You know what? To be perfectly honest, it was a lot of rappers back in the day. They were good, but the rappers now, they've learned so much from the pioneers that they didn't took the game and ran with it. But back then, they were really creative. They didn't really use a lot of samples. I mean, they use samples, but not to the extent what they're doing now. But the artists today are really creative, man, because they've really kind of evolved the game, you know, from where it came from, and you know, and they go different directions, man. You got your like Nelly. Perfect example with Nelly. When Nelly first came out, me and him used to hoop against each other. Didn't know who Nelly was. Didn't know who he was, man. And so one night we out playing ball off of 40. Highway 40. It was a court off of Highway 40. Me and him hooping, right? Just dogging each other, right? Talking crazy. I ain't know who he was. He didn't know who I was. And so later that night, it was a concert at the Ambassador. And so he walking on stage with the mic, and I looked, and he saw, and I'm giving him the mic, you know, giving him the mic. He was like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "What the hell are you doing here?" You know? And so that's how we connected, really.
What are you doing here?
What are you doing here? But anyway, back to Nelly, man. The way he was so successful, it was his time, because he had his own flavor. He had his own flavor. He didn't sound like the Eric B. and Rakims. He didn't sound like Rakim. He didn't sound like all the rest of the guys before him. He had his own way. And that's what everybody's doing. They're finding their own niche. And that's what you got to do, man. You can't go in and pattern yourself like the Drake or Megan Thee Stallion. You gotta listen to them, study the past. That's why you got to do your research. And you have to really listen to what people have done in the past and create your own lane. You know, and that's how you do it, man. And that's what they're doing now. But back to your original question, the music back then was good, very good. And the music today is very good as well. So I compliment him, man. I tip my hat. I listen to all of it. I listen to everything, man. Yeah. I listen to NBA Youngboy. I listen to everything. Believe you me, bro, because I love music. I love music. So yeah, I hope I answered your question.
No, you got me. Okay. So as we continue on this journey through your playlist, we come to Joe.
Okay.
Which is, I mean, it's definitely a bit of a departure, if you ask me, from Easy
Yeah. I know. Believe me. I
So
go from one extreme to the next, don't I?
we got Joe, I Want to Know. So I'd love to hear why this song is in your playlist.
Man, the story about Joe, believe it or not, the A&R person that discovered Joe, his name is David McPherson. He's from St. Louis, Missouri. One of my partners, good friends of mine. At the time, he was the vice president of urban music at Mercury Records.
Okay.
So he called me. He said, look, man, I got this artist. So I'm getting calls like this, man, from all these different people. And at the time, I didn't know the juice that I had. I ain't really know, I'm like, man, but I'm not even putting two together. That's that youth in me. That was that youth in me. If I had the knowledge that I have now back then, brother, believe me, I'd be sitting on whatever. But anyway, so so David calls me. He said, look, man, I got this artist, man. He's a R&B singer, and I want you to check him out. So he sent me some demo copies of him. Incredible. I said, this dude is the man. So I called David. I said, man, this dude is the man. He said, man, I said, man, what's his name? He said, well, that's the thing. I can't come up with a name for him. I said, what do you mean? He said, man, his real name is Joe, and I forgot his last name. He said, man, but what I want you to do, I want you to help me come up with a name for him. So I said, help him come up. And so I said, all right, man, that's what's up. And so, all right, I sat back, man, a couple of days. He gave me a call. He said, man, what you come up with? I said, man, I couldn't come up with no R&B singer. I'm not, that ain't my forte, bro. Why don't you stick with the name Joe? Why not? Everyday Joe. Joe is a very popular name. You can run with that. And so he said, man, you know what? Okay, we'll do that. And so that's why that's real personal to me, because I helped name.
Get out of here.
Cover him, but I help him give him concrete, solidify his name. Yeah,
man, that's a hell of a story.
But you got to think about it, man. Back then, the game was wide open, man. It was maybe 30, 40 jocks in the United States, man, that they were giving calls like this to. Chicago had their jocks, Atlanta had their jocks, New York, LA, so on and so forth, man. They called you. They depended on you, man. It was nothing, man, for them to fly you to Miami for the weekend or during the week. I had so many stories, bro. I sat down, man. I remember MCA flew us to Jamaica, put us up, man, in a hotel, and had Mary J. Blige and Dr. Dre there. You remember the album Family Affair with Family Affair on it? He sat us down. It was like 20 of us, man. Sat us in this big room and say, man, this is Mary J. Blige. In case y'all don't know, and of course we knew who she was, So we was like, yeah, man. So he was like, Dr. Dre was like, man, I need for y'all to help me pull out some singles. She had about 30 records. We sat back, man. He gave us a paper, pen, and we wrote down, I like this one, I like that one, so on and so forth. And that was nothing, man. They flew us everywhere, man. It was like that. It was like that, man.
So that's part of the way that they would figure out what singles to play or what would play on radio. They would have you come and listen to them.
First off, the reason they did that, so it was a way that they made sure that you was gonna play their music. So hey Ted, if you pick this Family Affair record, we need you to spin this in your mix show, basically. Right. So I was like, well, it is what it is. I like the record, so hey, it is. And so I had a relationship with my boss. So he sat me down. He said, hey, look, big dog, look. I need to know what you're gonna play. I know you know the music, but I need to know we need to be on the same sheet of music. So I was like, okay, bet. And so I would sit down with him. I say, hey man, this record is hot. This record is hot. This is what's going on at this club. Everybody loving it. Check it out. So he'll say, hey man, test it in the mix show. And so that's the relationship I had. So it was a win-win.
Wow.
We was winning. And we were winning, brother.
Well, what I want to do right now is just jump into your back into your playlist, or I want to listen to Joe, I Want to Know.
Okay.
All right, so listen to Life on Wax with Ted Jr. Got my guest, Tossin Ted, a great name. And let's hear out a little bit more of Joe. Joe, I Want to Know, and was helping to be named by no other than our own Tossin Ted.
Yes, sir.
Did you get a plaque with him too?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
That's what's up, man.
Yes, sir.
So you talk a lot about being about the fact that you're from Chicago and how playing house music and the way that you do it kind of and bringing that to St. Louis, that idea of blending to St. Louis really made a difference in the way music was looked at.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me more about that allure or what you love about that Chicago house music.
Man, growing up in Chicago back in the days when I grew up, house music was a big thing on radio. So there was a radio station in Chicago called WBMX. And so every day they would have a hot lunch mix by these guys called a Hot Mix 5.
Mm-hmm.
So it was Jimmy Jam, it was Farley Keith, Scott, Kenny Jammy Jason, Scott Seals. Oh man, I can't even think of all the five of them. But anyway, these five guys, man, brought house music to the mixes. And so the radio station deviated from every day, the adult contemporary music, the staple singers, the Stevie Wonders and all that stuff. And they broke it out in the afternoon from 12 to 1 o'clock. So they gave you an hour hot music. And so this music is upbeat music. And so it created a genre which started, man, years back, man, in the early 70s. It kind of split off from disco. Because disco started in New York and all that good stuff, man. So it kind of split off. And you got different types of house. You got Chicago house. You got Jackin' house. You got all kind of different types of house. And so I fell in love with it because being in Chicago growing up, I used to hang out downtown on Rush Street. I would hang out on Lakeshore Drive. I would hang out all in the Chi with my partners. And you had those mixes on because after a while, they not only had it in the mix in the afternoon, they did it on the weekend. So Friday night, you had it all night from 10 to 2. Saturday, you had it from 10 to 2. So when you out kicking it, man, I'm at that age, man. I'm out in high school and all that good stuff, man. You listen to house music, man. You riding down Lakeshore Drive, man. You got your house beating. It was good. And so after high school, I went on the SIUE. And when I was there, I met the guy that I talked about earlier. His name is Captain G, one of my frat brothers, actually. He's from the west side of Chicago. And so we were partners because I was a DJ from Chicago and he was a DJ from Chicago. And so when we hooked up, we were doing all the parties in SIUE and all that good stuff, man. So we became real cool. Real cool, man. And I got so many stories with that brother, man. So many things. So, man, I can just go on about him. But anyway, getting back to house, doing the parties up in SIUE, that's what we played because the majority of the folks were either from St. Louis or from Chicago at SIUE back at the time. And so what I would do, I would play some hip hop. Yeah, I played the rap music for all my St. Louis folks because, I had all my folks want to hear all those core joints like Manipulator, some Run DMC, all that good stuff, all the classics, man. So I'm playing all that stuff. But I had my Chi-Town folks and they wanted me to beat some house. So I'm beating house, man. I'm playing all the stuff by Farley Keith. I'm playing all these different artists from Chicago. Every other weekend, I would try to go home, get a bunch of house music, bring it back, and try to kind of spoon feed it to all my folks.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
So when so all my folks from St. Louis, at the beginning, they ain't like house music. But by the time school's out, they house heads. They loving house now.
Nice.
So that's the way I was trying to do it. And so after I finished in college, when I got on the radio, my first radio station, I was doing mix show. I sat down with my boss. I sat down with Andre Fuller. I said, "Hey, look, man, I want to try to bring this new style of music, because genre of music to St. Louis. I want to do some house music." So he said, "All right, well, it's all about your presentation." I said, "Absolutely." So what I did was I would play some upbeat joints, man, some Midnight Star, No Parking on the Dance Floor. All that stuff was upbeat. So I would play that, and I play a house record, and I play another upbeat Prince song or whatever, right? I tried to, kind of sandwich it in. And so I kept doing it for a while, and people was kind of receptive of it, man. So they kind of started liking it. But then I got kickback too. I got some flack from the general manager at the time. His name was Jim Gates. He was actually he's a pioneer radio head here in St. Louis. He actually graduated from SIUE as well. He's alumni. He's an alumnus. And so one day I'm on the air, and he was doing a live broadcast from a lounge. Mm-hmm. And so, he listened to the radio station. They got the radio blasted, man. So I'm playing his, hey, Jim Gates is at so and so. We want y'all to come on out and hang out. And so I'm playing that my mix is doing, right? And so a couple of house records came in. And so he called me on the hotline. He said, man, what the hell are you playing? I said, man, I'm playing this thing called house music. He said, man, take that off my radio. I don't want to hear it.
Get off my radio.
He said, man, take it off my station. I don't know nothing about it. Who told you could play it? I said, well, man, Andre Fuller, Spider-Man said I could play it. He said, man, I tell you what, man, meet me at my radio station. Meet me at the station Monday morning at 9. I said, yes, sir. So that Monday morning, of course, man, I got bubble guts the whole weekend. I'm like, oh, man, I hope this dude don't fire me. I don't know what's going on. So he comes in and he said, man, what the hell were you playing, man? I said, well, it's this genre of music called house music. It's kind of big in Chicago, and it's kind of spreading. It's in New York, yada, yada, yada. He said, man, we don't want to hear no house music here in St. Louis. I said, all right, I got you. I said, man, why not I do this, man? Why not I just play every blue moon? I'll play some house music. He said, okay, that's cool. And so we kind of worked it out so I could play a couple of joints, but just don't go all in type deal. So that's how I got into the house thing in St. Louis. So, so now today, we still do a bunch of house, man. DJ AJ, one man band, man. It's a bunch of us, man. We do a house night. Well, of course, we're not doing it now, but we do them down in Voce once a month. We call ourselves the St. Louis House Heads. So, yeah, we've been doing it for, man, a couple of years now, man. So if all my folks out there listening in the house, man, check in with me because we do some house. Because I get a lot of people from Detroit and Chicago always checking in with me. So
this song that you gave me in your playlist, Black Coffee Superman.
Right.
This is like quintessential, like a house mix.
It's a house record. It's a huge house record. So this record, man, appealed to women, house heads. It's a good record, man. If you really listen to the record is actually by the guy. The Black Coffee is actually a DJ. And,
okay.
He's cool guy, man. Great music. He's got quite a few records, man. He got quite a few albums out, man. And it's just one of the bigger records, and I just love the record.
Well, let's listen to Black Coffee's Superman. It's for a little bit right here on Life on Wax with Ted Jr. And of course, got my guest Tossin Ted right here in the house.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that was Black Coffee. Superman is a mix, a club mix. So that was house. So what? So real quick, what's one element that makes people know, oh, this is house music?
It's upbeat. It's really upbeat, man. The average house record, man, is probably 121 beats per minute. So it's a upbeat tempo. You got different types of house, man. You have deep house, you got Chicago house, you got house, it's a big house following in Detroit. Detroit bang a lot of house. East Coast, man, New York, they bang house, man. So in different countries as well.
So it's like extremely danceable music.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Chicago house kind of is, I like Chicago house because I'm from Chicago, basically.
Sure.
And I know all the guys, all the DJs there and how it started. I was there in the inception, man. So I just love, it's hard to describe, but besides the fact it's upbeat, it's energetic. It's just a good feel. It's just a good feel, man. Real good feel.
I understand that. Well, thinking about that good feel, I know it seems like everyone that I have on this show, they usually have something that's way left. Then it's have something that it's on a whole other end of the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had Eazy-E a little earlier.
Right.
And now, the last song on your playlist, we have Kirk Franklin and Rance Allen.
Yes, sir.
Something about the name Jesus.
Yes, sir.
It's funny. It's like my guests are trying to let people know they not just heathens.
Right.
So what's got this song in your playlist? I could guess, but
man,
I'd love you to talk about it.
Everybody got a soft spot in them, man. So believe it or not. So actually, man, born and raised in Chicago, my mom, my dad, man, kept me in the church. I actually graduated from a private school, elementary school called St. Paul Lutheran School. And then I went on to Luther South High School in Chicago. Mm-hmm. And so really uprooted, man, in gospel, man, in church. You know, I just love, just like I said earlier, man. I love music. I love all genres of music, man. I love country. I love rock, but gospel, man. This particular record, man, it reminds me of my grandmother. My grandmother, you know, my mother and father both was from Georgia, and my dad is from Fort Gaines, Georgia. His name is Ted Thornton. My mom is Margaret Ann Thornton. Both of them reside in Chicago, where they have a home in Atlanta too, and in Atlanta now in this quarantine. But you know, they it was all about the church, man. My grandmother, man, she groomed us. When we went there in the summer, man, it was all about the church, bro. I don't care. You can stay up all night if you want to, but you getting up, you're going to Sunday school.
Come on.
You're going to first service and you're going to second service. And you're going to eat at church. You're going to eat at church. So you there all day. So this record, man, something about the name Jesus, it reminds me of the church that my grandmother, you know, used to take us to. It's called Gethsemane Church in Cordele, Georgia. It's great church, man, on 15th Avenue in Cordele, Georgia. So all my folks, if you're familiar with Chris County, Cordele, Georgia, is all about Gethsemane. And this record just reminds me of that. It just makes me reflect on my grandmother and my upbringing and my aunts and my parents. You know, how they distilled the religion in us, man. How they made sure that they knew we were hood. They knew we had that hood in us because we from South Side of Chicago. But then again, you still a sinner. You still had that religion in you. You still had that, you know, you had to have it, man. You just can't be hood, man, because I ain't want to be that person going out robbing folks and then and turn up in a body bag.
Right.
So, you know, it was about church, man. And so I don't want to start preaching about church, but it's kind of missing. It's kind of missing, man. You know, right now, you know, that's why a lot of people are doing a lot of crazy things because they don't have. I'm trying to figure out the word. I'm trying to. Is
it moral?
They have morals. They don't have the morals, man. Like like people did back in the day, man. You know, they knew right from wrong. You know right from wrong now, but you don't have that respect factor. You don't have that respect. And so when you in church, man, at church, man, you respect. You didn't go and start using profane language in front of the old heads. You know, if you're gonna use profane language, man, you over in the corner with your partners.
Yeah.
You know, or with your peers. You know, it's all about the respect, man, and that's what's lacking now. And you know, the church, man, the church brought that, man. You know, and then you know, I can't really just say people, you know, because the church, there's some foul churches out there, and they're making people kind of, you know, bag away from church as well because you know they're doing crazy things as well, man. So you know, but it centered me, man. I don't know if I'm making any.
No, I get it.
Yeah, it kept me level headed, man. It kept me level headed. Put it like that.
That foundation of church.
Foundation of church. Man. That foundation, bro. You gotta have it.
That foundation has impacted and kind of helped guide you. No matter what you were doing, no matter if you were the celebrity that had all the power that you could have
absolutely
imagined, you still had that core,
right?
That put you back in that. It set you in that religion and said, well, I know not only do I know right from wrong, but I understand the moral. I have a moral compass.
Absolutely,
it helps to guide me on my day to day.
And I know my spirit. I mean, my religion and my background got me to where I am now. You know, that's what I know. I know that if it wasn't for that, man, I wouldn't be where I am.
Well, let's listen to this song just a little bit.
Okay,
and talk about where you are now.
Absolutely.
All right, it's Life on Wax with Ted Jr. with my guest Tossin Ted. Listening to something about the name Jesus with Kirk Franklin and Rance Allen. So I know that you talk about how your faith and that helped kind of grounded you. Mm-hmm. I also know that you talked about going to SIU and getting that teaching degree.
Yes, sir.
And then you did all of your time at different radio stations and saw the ebbs and flows of how that went. Mm-hmm. And what I understand now is that you're doing something different than that, but still connected.
Yeah, absolutely.
So talk about what you're doing now.
Well, now at this present time, I work for a company called EDSI/Slate. So Slate, man, is a company, man, that I started working. Well, okay, let me back up. Okay, so when I first started with Slate, I was partnered with this this credit union called First Financial. Okay, so First Financial is Slate. What they did was they have this program called STL Summer Youth Program.
Right.
So the Summer Youth Program, they're providing jobs for inner city youth, man, from 16 to 24. And so what First Financial did when they brought me in, they were looking for somebody that can teach workshops, teach financial literacy classes, and so on and so forth. And what First Financial did, they went an extra mile. They started providing free checking and savings accounts for everybody that came through the STL youth program, summer program.
It's important.
And so, which is important. So financial literacy, man, is something that's not really taught in our education system, man. So, you know, St. Louis public schools, whatever public schools it may be, you know, they're not really teaching that. So what I do before they start with their jobs, I would do a PowerPoint. I would set up a workshop with a group of kids, man. We would talk about financial literacy. We would talk about the importance of having good credit opposed to bad credit. Don't deal with these payday lenders. Teaching them how to use their debit cards because they were giving them free debit cards. Just breaking down everything, man. And telling them how important it is to have goals. You know, so it's a big need. So I've been doing that for the last 5 years. You know, on the side, I was still working a little radio, and because I was working on this radio station called Mix 99.5. Yeah. I was doing mornings there for a while, but I took a leave of absence because I wanted to kind of concentrate on my sons because they're in school, man. They need that push. They're at that age. They 12. So you know, I got to really. Oh no. Yeah. I got to put it on them now. So you know, so I kind of took a leave.
Preteens, boy.
What'd you say?
Them preteens, man.
Oh yeah, man. You
they gotta have a sturdy hand.
Absolutely. And I got twin boys, man, and they off the chain. You got to stay on them, brother. And so that's why I took a leave of absence from the radio station. But I still do the financial literacy. So now the company was bought out. Well, it's not really bought out. It teamed up with Slate. It's called EDSI. Mm-hmm. So EDSI is allowing me to do the same thing I was basically doing in the past. But now I'm kind of facilitating more classes. I'm kind of doing classes for the adults as well. Just not only for the youth. I'm doing adult classes. So I'm teaching folks the importance to have resumes. Teaching them how to present themselves in interviews, how to fill out an application, how to use it on the computer. Because a lot of times you get adults, man, that's been on jobs for 30, 40 years. They don't know anything about computers. So they're computer literate. So you got to kind of teach them the computers, the importance on how to upload a resume on websites. They don't know anything about that.
So Ted, let me ask you this question. Mm-hmm. In the work that you're doing now, what is like the number one thing that you have to teach that you didn't think you would?
Man, the computers, teaching about computers. I didn't think I would have to teach. Well, because at first my job was to teach the youth about financial literacy. And so when I would sit down with them, they wouldn't know they were around computers. They know they were around a phone, but they don't know they were about computers. Right. They didn't know how to upload resumes. They didn't know different things like that. How to copy and paste different things. They didn't know, the breakdowns of computers, man. So that was surprising. And then for the adults, man, just teaching them how to present themselves in an interview. Mm-hmm. Not to have bad posture when you go into an interview. How to speak. How to articulate words. You'll be surprised. A lot of people are not taught that. A lot of them, they get right. They don't even finish high school. They go right working at a warehouse or start doing this job and doing that, and they're not really schooled. And so when they get out of that profession, they have to start all over. And you'll be surprised what they don't know. So now when you come to me and you sit down with me, I've had guys, man, 30, 40 years old, didn't know how to read or write. So you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised, man. So so that's why I humble myself, man, when I talk to different people, man, because my parents was there and they made sure that I was at school. They were on my head. Now that I reflect, man, my dad, it was, if you didn't have work to do, if you didn't have homework to do, you were doing chores. You was doing something, man. He gave you some leeway to do whatever you want to because I love sports. I played sports. But in order for me to play those sports, I had to do good in school. I had to make sure that garbage was taken out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I had those responsibilities, and a lot of people nowadays, they don't have those responsibilities. They don't have that, you know, they don't have that, man. They don't have, you know, it's just different, man. It's a different day.
Wow, man. So what I think is dope is that you've successfully been transitioning throughout your career, and you still are able to do a thing that you love, and that's dealing with music.
Oh, absolutely.
I know you still DJ and all of that
all the time,
and so I love that you're able to do this thing that you know is like good for people, working with the youth and the adults as far as financial literacy and getting ready for work. But you also get to plug into your creative space,
absolutely,
and do things for yourself.
Absolutely.
So that's great, man. Yo, Tossin, man, you've been on. It's been a great show, man.
I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you having me as well.
Now we're coming to the very last part of the show.
Okay.
And generally, I don't give any heads up about the last 3 questions of the show. The last 3 questions are questions I ask every guest, no matter who they are, because I'm curious, man. I want to know. So, first question is this. So you have the opportunity to create a collaborative song.
Okay.
You're not in the song, but you're putting together 2 artists to make the best song duo possible. What 2 artists are you choosing?
So you gonna put me on that DJ Khaled list, huh? Let me see. I got to go with Rakim is my MC, and I have to go. Ooh, man, yeah, you got me, bro. I got to throw an R&B artist out there that's just a man to me. I'm not gonna say Joe, even though I got love for Joe. Wow, you got me, Ted, on this one. But I know Rakim is gonna be my man. He's gonna be my man. So, wow. I'm on. I don't know. You got me. You got me, man. I'm just gonna go Rakim and yeah, Ted, you got me, bro. I can't think of anybody. Yeah, you got me on the spot, bro.
Oh man, I'm nervous about the next 2 questions.
Oh wow! I mean, you got more?
Oh yeah, it's 3 questions, man. It's just
okay. Hold on. All right, so we're gonna go with Rakim, and we're gonna go with who's a good man. Who good with the dude? I don't know. Yeah, you got me. You got me on that one. I'm just gonna go with Rakim and leave it at that.
So Rakim will be on both.
Yeah, dude. He's doing it all. He's doing it all
by himself.
Yeah, he's doing it all by himself. You got me.
All right. So next one, and this might be easier. I don't know. What is a song, album, artist, or etc. that people that know you will be surprised that you love?
Damn. Man, I like, to be perfectly honest, I like, oh man, I like different artists, man. I like Moneybagg Yo. I think I like him. I like the Baby. I like Lil Baby. Man, I like Megan Thee Stallion. People will probably be surprised that I like those artists. To be perfectly honest, yeah, because I like NBA YoungBoy. Yeah, they're very talented artists. They're not really, they're appeasing to their core audience, and that's what I like. They're not deviating. They're not going to try to impress me. They're not going to impress me. They're not trying to impress me. They stand in their lane. They doing what they know and what they like. That's why I like them. I like Moneybagg Yo. That's my dude. I never met him before. Just like his music. And I know I threw his name out about 3 or 4 times. Yeah, I like his music.
Well, maybe he or his people will see this show, reach out to get you a plaque.
Yes, sir.
All right. Last question.
Okay.
And this for some people is really hard, and then for others it's simple. So you have tickets to one concert to see any artist.
Oh yeah,
dead or alive.
Easy.
Who you going to see?
Prince. Purple Rain concert. Prince. Let me tell you why. Years back, this was when the Kiel Center. The Checker Dome was on right off of 40, right there, Forest Park, in between Kings Highway and Forest Park. I forgot the name of that street right there. But anyway, he performed there, Checker Dome. He played right up the street from the Emo's Pizza place, right? So I went to the concert with Dr. Jockenstein and Captain G, 2 of my mentors, right? So before the concert, they said, hey, man, we're going to go to the Emo's and get some pizza. So I was like, all right, bet. So we went to Emo's, man. We ate pizza, man, so on and so forth, man. So, and then we go to the Prince concert. So I'm not really feeling Prince because I'm looking at Prince, man. This dude wearing butt-out pants. He wearing heels. This dude's hair is like females. So I'm like, oh, dude, I'm not all into this right now, right? So I never really took time. I listened to his music. I thought his music was good, but I didn't think his concert was going to be off the chain. So I get in the concert, man. So Jockenstein and Captain G with me. So we standing there. We actually backstage. And so Prince came out. He shook Jockenstein's hand, said, hey, Jock, what's going on? He knew who Jock was, flat out. So I'm blowing out the roof right now. Back then, Prince was that dude back then, but I wasn't really into his music. I thought it was cool. And so he acknowledged Captain G. And so Jockenstein said, hey, man, this is new blood, man. His name is Tossin Ted, man. He'll meet him. So I shook his hand, man. I was like, oh, wow, that's what's up. So he goes out on stage, man, and this dude did a phenomenal job. I'm not talking about a good job. This dude, man, concert was so off the chain.
Wow.
I mean, and before I left there, my shirt was dripping wet because I'm jumping around.
Wow.
Partying. Now, keep in mind, I'm anti-Prince before I get there, right? I'm thinking I'm cool on this dude, right? I'm like, whatever, right? Because I'm looking at his album covers. I'm like, what is he doing? I mean, what is he about? Just whatever, right? I'm cool. It's other artists that I like. I'm cool on him. Dude, after I left there, man, total Prince fan.
Wow.
Prince fan, man, by far. Now, I've been to some concerts. I've been to a Luther Vandross. I've been to Janet Jackson. I've even been to Michael Jackson's concert. I've been to, man, you name it. I've been to the concerts, man. I've been to concerts in New York where they've flown DJs. You got Dougie Fresh. You got KRS-One, all these different performers performing. But nobody will top Prince.
Wow.
My personal opinion, bro. Purple Rain, dog. I will never forget that as long as I live.
Well, there it is.
Yes, sir.
There it is. Well, Tossin, man, we gonna go ahead and end this. Is there anything that you want to say to my audience? Just anything, any words of wisdom or any thoughts you want to leave them with?
Well, just do what you want to do, man. Just whatever's in your heart. Do it, man, because I've always done what I always want to do. I've always loved music. Even as a young kid, I've always loved music, and that's what's in my heart, and I continue to do it. That's what makes me happy. That's what makes me happy, man, music. So follow your dreams, follow your heart, bro.
And where can they find you on social media if you have?
Man, I'm all over social media, man. Tossin Ted Thornton at Facebook, Tossin Ted, Facebook. Instagram is Tossin Ted. Twitter is Tossin Ted. I'm easy to find, man. I'm all over. Believe
there it is. Well, y'all remember you can always check out our previous episodes on Spotify. Look for Life on Wax with Ted Jr. Also, we're continuing to build the playlist for season 3. So these 5 songs will be added to that playlist, and you can check those out whenever you like. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good one.
Peace.